Chapter 6 First Encounter. One day, when he was 118 years old, Adam did not become excited with the spring upon waking with the dawn. He did not rise as he usually did to greet the sun's brightening rays. Above him, astride a leafy branch, the nightingale trilled his song, but his singing only made Adam turn over on his other side. Before his eyes, spring filled space with a quiet tremolo. The gurgling stream called out to Adam in his bed, while swallows made sport overhead. Fanciful clouds heralded each new unfolding scene. From grasses, flowers, bushes, and trees, the gentlest fragrance rushed to embrace the man. Oh, how God wondered then what was taking place! Amidst spring's resplendent glory, under the deep blue skies of his earthly creation, his son, the man, had become sorrowful and despondent. His beloved child dwelt not in the gladness, but in sadness. Could any scene be more agonizing for a loving father? 118 years on, long after creation, the dormant throng of divine energy suddenly swarmed into motion. The whole universe listened in shocked surprise. Such acceleration as had never been seen before glistened in the aura of the energy of love, so intensely that all life caught the sense at once. A new creation had been thought of by God. But what could possibly be originated after creation had already reached the limit of inspiration? This was something that surpassed all comprehension. And still God's thought kept growing in acceleration, and the energy of love whispered in muted tones, "Once more you have set everything in inspired motion. Your universal energies are setting space on fire. How is it that you do not explode or consume yourself in such fervor and desire? Where are you heading? To what are you aspiring? I no longer shine with your light. Look, oh my God! I burn with your essence. I turn planets into stars. Stop! You have already created all the best. Stop! And your son's grief will evanescence. It will disappear. Stop! Oh my God! But God did not hear the plea of love and paid no attention to the jeers of the elements of the universe. Like a young and enthusiastic sculptor, he continued accelerating all the diverse energies in motion. And all at once a dawn of never-before imaginable beauty burst forth, delineating itself through the vast, unfathomable universe. And all creation gasped, and God himself whispered in exultation, "Behold, O universe, behold! Behold, my daughter stands amidst the created creatures of the earth. How perfect her features are, the finest by 1,000-fold. She shall be worthy of my son. A creation more perfect than hers will never come. In her is the image and likeness of me. Each particle of yours in her will always be. So love her with a love so pure and free. She and he, my son and daughter, shall bring extended joy to every living thing, and shall build on every plane of being resplendent universal worlds. From the little hill over dew-washed grass, on the festive day in the sun's morning ray, the maiden to Adam came. With a pace full of grace, and a form so slender the bends of her body smooth and tender, in the hues of her skin there shined the light of the dawn divine. Closer and closer she neared, and then she appeared. In front of Adam, reclining on the grass, the maiden arose. The breeze smoothed out her golden braids, her forehead to expose. The universe held its breath, completely awed. Oh, how beauteous is her face, thy creation, O God! Adam reclined on the grass, glanced up at the maiden who had appeared beside him, gave a yawn, turned away, and closed his eyes. All the elements in the universe then heard, no, not words. They heard how listlessly Adam reacted in his thought to the new creation of God. Well, there it is, yet another creation of some kind has come to mind. It is nothing new, you see, just another entity that looks something like me. Horses have joints in their knees more supple and sturdy than these. The leopard has skin so much brighter and livelier to please. And what's more, she arrived without invitation on the very day I was going to offer the ants a new designation. And Eve, standing a while beside Adam, went over to the pool in the stream, sat down on the bank by the bushes, and caught a gleam of her reflection in the still, cool water. And the elements of the universe began to intone their murmurings, and their thoughts merged into one. Two perfections have not managed to achieve an appreciation of each other. There is no perfection in God's creation. And only the energy of love alone, amidst the murmurings of the universe, tried to protect the Creator with itself. God was enveloped in its radiance. Everybody knew. Never had the energy of love involved itself in rationalism. Unseen and unheard, it was ever wandering apace through the unfathomable reaches of space. But why was it now so totally and with no retention encircling God again with its radiance? Paying no attention to the intonings of the universe, here it was, warming and comforting through its radiance alone. You can rest, O great Creator, and impart your education into the heart of your Son. You will be able to adjust and correct any of your illustrious creations. In reply, the universe heard words in which it recognized the wisdom and majesty of God. My Son is the image and likeness of me. He includes in himself particles of the diverse energies of the universe. He is Alpha and Omega. He is creation. He is the realization of the future. Henceforth and for all time still to come, neither I nor anyone else shall be able to change his destiny without his will. All that he wills for himself will be allowed to him. Whatever he conceives, provided it is not conceived in vanity, will turn into reality. My Son did not bow before the sight of the maiden's fleshy perfection. Much to the amazement of the whole universe, he was not amazed by her. Still, not consciously aware, my Son has sensed all through his feelings. In the first place, he sensed that in him something was amiss, and the new creation standing before him, the maiden, did not possess this. My Son, through his feelings, senses the whole universe. He knows everything the universe possesses. A question filled the whole universe. What can possibly be missing from one in whom all the diverse energies of ours and yours exist? And God answered them all. The energy of love. And the energy of love flashed with flame. But I am alone, and I am your very own. I shine by you alone. Yes, you are alone, my love, the divine words proclaimed in reply. Your shining light both shines and caresses, my love. You are inspiration. You are able to give everything an acceleration. You accentuate sensations, and you are the reconciliation of peace, my love. I beg of you, descend to the earth in your totality, leaving nothing in its former place. Surround and unfold these, my children, in yourself, the energy of boundless grace. This farewell dialogue of love and God heralded the beginning of all earthly love. My God, love called out to the Creator, when I leave, you will be alone, unseen, forever, dwelling on all the planes of being. You will be invisible. May my son and my daughter henceforth shine through the inner, the outer, and the order. My God, around you, you will be empty space. There will never be a place where the life-giving warmth can penetrate to your soul. Without this warmth, your soul will become cold. Not for me alone, but for all life may this warmth emanate from the earth. My sons and daughters will multiply this radiated love, and the whole earth will glow with the warmth of love shining throughout space. All will feel the energy, the light of grace emanating from the earth, and all my diverse energies will be warmed by its might. My God, a great variety of paths are exposed to your son and daughter. In them remain the diverse energies of all the planes of being. And suppose just one of those energies decides to hold sway over the rest and leads them astray. What can you do? Seeing you have thought to give everything away, when you find the energies shining from the earth start to weaken and fade to naught. You have given everything away, and yet you see how on earth the energies of annihilation hold sway over all. Your own illustrious creations are covered with a lifeless crust, and the grass is smothered with stones. What will you do then? What can be done? Seeing you have given complete freedom to your son. As a blade of grass, I shall be able to break through among the stones anew, and unfold the petals of a flower in a small and untouched blade. My earthly daughters and sons will be able to realize their purpose. My God, when I leave, you will not be by any eye perceivable. It is conceivable that elements of other energies will begin to speak through people in your name. Some may try to proclaim themselves rulers over others, abusing your essence for their own interests, saying, I speak in God's place. I am His chosen one. Everybody listen to me. What will you be able to do in such a case? I shall come up as the dawn at the inception of an oncoming day. By caressing all creations on earth without exception, the rays of the sun will help my daughters and sons understand that each one in their own soul can hold conversations with my soul. My God, many of them will there be, a great sum, and you are alone as one. And all the elements of the universe will be eager to capture man's soul, just to use man to establish their sway over all through the energy they possess. And your errant son will suddenly start to pray to them. There will still be a major obstacle to any attempt, no matter what its form, to lead people awry, to lead them into lie. Within all my sons and daughters there is a striving for conscious awareness of truth. A lie is invariably bound within limits, but truth is unlimited. It will be forever found in the conscious awareness of my sons and daughters' soul. My God, no one and nothing is able to fight or even stand against the flight of your thought and dreams. They are marvelous. I shall willingly follow them. I shall warm your children with my radiance and shall perform this service forever. The inspiration you have given them will help them undertake their own creations. I have only one request to make of you, my God. Allow me to leave just one spark of my love with you. When you are obliged to dwell in darkness, you are surrounded by nothing but empty space. When oblivion weakens the light from the earth, then may this spark of my love, even though it seem but a single spark, shine for you with its gleam. Oh, Vladimir, Anastasía exclaimed, if only man living today could look up to the skies and see what was way above the earth back then. What a great vision would grace the scene before his eyes. The light of the universe, the energy of love, compressed into a comet, hastened toward the earth, illuminating the still lifeless planets along its course, and lighting up the stars above the earth. Yes, it was indeed heading toward the earth. Closer, ever closer it came, and there it was. And all at once it came to rest over the earth itself, and the radiance of love began to resonate. And far away among the shining stars, one star smaller than all the rest appeared to be moving. It was hastening to follow the radiance of love on its earthward path. And then love realized that here was its last little spark from God, and even it was on its way to the earth. My God, whispered the radiance of love, but why? I do not understand, but why? You have not left even a single spark for yourself. To the words of love out of the darkness of the universe, God, already perceivable by no one, gave reply. His divine words were heard across space. Anything I kept back for myself would be lacking in my gift to them, my daughters and sons. My God! Oh, how marvelous you are, love, even as a single spark. My God! Hasten, my love, hasten. Do not stop for rational contemplation. Hasten with your last spark and warm all my future sons and daughters. The people of the earth were embraced by the universal energy of love. All of it, down to the last spark. Everything was there within it where it belonged. Throughout the unfathomable universe, man, who lives on all planes of being simultaneously, of all the entities, became the most strong. Chapter 7. When Love. Adam lay on the grass among the fragrant flowers. In the shade of a tree he dreamt, as his thoughts churned listlessly along, and all at once a reminiscence swept over him in an unexpected wave of warmth, somehow empowering a strong acceleration of his thoughts. Just recently this new creation stood before me, he reflected. Something very much like me, only different. But what is the difference? Where does it lie? And where is this new creation now? Oh, how I wish I could see the new creation once more as I did before. I want to see it again, but why? Quickly Adam rose from the ground and looked around. A thought flickered by. What has happened all of a sudden? Why is the same sky, the same birds, grass, trees, and bushes? Everything is the same, and yet it is different. I am not looking at it the same way as before. The creatures of the earth, the scents, the air, and even the light, everything has become brighter and more resplendent. And words were born in Adam's mouth, and he cried out to all, and I love in return. And all at once a new wave of warmth came upon him from the direction of the stream, sweeping over his whole body. He turned in the direction the warmth was coming from, and lo and behold, there was the new creation shining before him. All logic departed from his thought. His whole heart delighted in the vision. When Adam first caught sight of it, there, quietly sitting beside a clear pool of water in the stream, was the maiden. But after tossing back the braids of her golden hair, she was looking not at the clear water, but at him. She caressed him with a smile, as though she had been waiting for him a long, eternal while. He went over to her. As they were looking at each other, Adam thought there could be no one with eyes more resplendent than hers. Aloud he said, "You are sitting by the water. The water is good. Would you like to bathe together?" "I would." "And then would you like me to show you around creation?" "I would." "I have given everything its designation. I shall command them to serve you too." "And would you like me to make a new creation?" "I would." They bathed in the stream and ran through the meadow. Oh, how entrancing seemed the maiden's trills of laughter, when after mounting an elephant, Adam conceived a little dance for her and called the maiden's name Eve. The day was already dawning to a close as this woman and man stood with all the glory of the earth around, delighting in its colors, scents, and sounds. Quiet and meek, Eve watched the evening descend, the floral petals folded into their buds. The splendid creations of the day faded from sight into the night. "Do not feel despondent," said Adam, by this time already confident in himself. "It is just now that the darkness of night is coming on. We need it to take our rest, but no matter how much night presses in or how black the day, always comes back." "Will it be the same day or a new day?" asked Eve. "The day will return in whatever form you conceive." "And who is it subject to each day?" "To me." "And who are you subject to?" "To no one." "And you, where are you from?" "I come from a dream." And whence comes everything around that is so pleasing to see? It also appeared from the dream, as a creation for me. And where is he whose dream is so bright and resplendent? He is often around, only he cannot be seen with ordinary sight. But all the same, it is good to be with him. God, he calls himself, my Father and my friend. He never offends me, and he gives me everything. I also wish to give him. The what, I do not know yet. That means I too am his creation. Like you, I also wish to show him my appreciation, to call him Father, God, and friend. Perhaps we can decide together what actions in our part the Father intends. I have heard him say, what may bring joy to everyone's heart. To everyone's, including his? Yes, that would mean his too. Tell me what he desires. Conjoint creation and joy from its contemplation. And what may bring joy to everyone on the earth? Birth. Birth? But everything is so beautifully born already. I often think before I go to sleep about an extraordinary and marvelous creation. But with the dawn of the day, the dream goes away, and I see that nothing new has come to thought. Everything is so fraught with wonder and visible by the light of day. Let us then think together. I too wanted, before going to sleep, to be close to you, to hear your breathing, to feel your warmth, to think together about creation. Before going to sleep, impelled by tender feelings for each other, the two embraced in dreams about a marvelous creation, their aspirations connected and merged into one. Their two material bodies reflected the thoughts that had jointly come. Chapter 8. Birth. The day returned, and night once more came on. One morning, as day was dawning, just as Adam was watching the tiger cubs and reflecting on life, Eve quietly approached him, sat down beside him, took his hand and placed it on her tummy. Feel here, inside me lives my creation, a new creation at the same time. Can you feel it, Adam? Is it pushing, this restless creation of mine? Yes, I can feel it. It seems to be reaching out to me. To you? Of course, it is mine, but it is yours too. I very much want to see our co-creation. And Eve gave birth, not in painful labor, but in great wonder. Forgetting everything around him, not conscious of himself, Adam watched and trembled in anticipation. And Eve bore a new and conjugal creation. A tiny wee lump, all wet, lay helplessly on the ground. Its legs were drawn up tight, its eyelids remained closed. Adam watched, his eyes fixed on the little one, as it moved its tiny hand, opened its tiny lips, and took its first breath. Adam was afraid to blink, lest he miss the tiniest movement. Unfamiliar feelings had begun filling the space within and around him. Unable to restrain himself to the spot, he suddenly leapt up and began to run. With no particular destination in mind, Adam rushed headlong along the bank of the stream in great exultation. He stopped. A wondrous, unfamiliar something kept growing and expanding in his chest, and everything around. The sound of the wind was not only rang through the trees and rustled leaves, it sang, sifting through the rifts of bushes and setting astir the clusters of floral petals. The clouds not only swarmed through the sky, all the clouds performed a dance to entrance the observer as they passed by. The water sparkled with a smile as it rushed into the miles of stream before it. Oh, wow, the stream! Reflecting the clouds in the stream made yet another bend as it gleamed before the eyes. And all along the birds kept twittering their joyful song in the skies. And among the herbs the cheerful chirping of crickets could be heard, and everything fused and blended together into a single resounding intonation of the tenderest sounds of music known through all God's grand creation. After taking a little more air into his lungs, Adam suddenly cried out as loud as he could. It was not an ordinary cry, not that of an animal, but one that overflowed with the most tender sounds. A long, sublime hush slowly settled all around, and for the very first time the universe heard a man on the earth joyfully burst into song. A man was singing, and all the noises that had before sounded throughout the galaxies were now grounded. A man was singing. And hearing this happy song, the whole world of the universe concluded, not in any of the galaxies could there be found a single string capable of producing a better sound than that of the singing of the human soul. But the song of rejoicing could not hush Adam's newfound abundance of feelings. Catching sight of the lion, he rushed toward it and wrestled it to the ground as though it were but a pussycat. He laughingly began to run his fingers adeptly through its mane, then leapt up and gesturing the creature to follow suit, ran off across the terrain. The lion barely managed to keep up with him, while the lioness and her cubs lagged way behind. Fastest of all ran Adam, his arms waving, summoning all the creation to follow in his route. His creation, he recalled, would be able to bring joy and elation to all. And once again he seized the tiny lump in front of him. His own creation! Such a wee little lump, alive, lapped by the she-wolf and caressed by the warm breeze. The baby's eyes had not yet shown a peep. He was asleep. At the sight of him, all creatures that had accompanied Adam on his run fell to the earth in delight. "Why, yes, it is true," Adam intoned with exultation. "Light like my own is emanating from my creation. Maybe it is even stronger than my light. If such an extraordinary thing is happening with me, all creatures have fallen down before it in delight. I desired, I carried through, I created a creation resplendent and alive. All of you, come look at him." Adam cast his glance at all around and suddenly stopped, his gaze fixed. His eyes were fixed on Eve. She was sitting on the grass all alone, caressing with her own lightly fixed gaze the suddenly still and silent Adam. And with new might, love began shining within and around Adam in invisible delight. And then, all at once, oh, how love universal quivered and shivered to see Adam run up to the resplendent maiden mother, fall on his knees before Eve, press his hands to her golden braids, her tender lips, and her milk-filled breasts, and restraining his exclamation to a gentle purr, he tried to express his exultation in words. Eve, my wife, you are able to make dreams come true in life. Yes, I am woman, your wife. Let us turn into life everything you are able to think of. Yes, together, the two of us together. Now it is clear. Two together are we. We are as he. We are able to make dreams come true. Look at us, our Father, do you hear us? But for the first time, Adam could hear no reply. Surprised, he leapt up and cried, Where are you, my Father? Look upon my creation. Perfect and fantastic are all your earthly creatures. Resplendent are all the clouds, the grass, the bushes, and the trees, but my new creation is even finer than the features of the flowers. Look at it. I have seen how my own creation has brought me a joy far greater than anything you created through your dream. You have nothing to say? You do not wish to look at it? But it is by far and away the best part of all. My creation, more than any other, is dear to my heart. But what about you? Do you not wish even to look at it? Adam looked at his child. In the spot directly above the tiny sleeping body, the air seemed bluer than usual. There was no breeze to ruffle even a hair. Only someone was invisibly bending the slender stem of a flower over the baby's lips. And 3 soft puffs of pollen tenderly touched his lips. The baby smacked his lips, sighed a deep and blissful sigh, moved one of his legs just a tiny bit, and then went back to sleep. Adam guessed that while he had been celebrating, God had been cultivating, cherishing the little one, and so had not seen fit to speak. And Adam exclaimed, "That means you yourself were helping. That means you were with me all along, and you acknowledged the creation." And he heard in reply the Father's quiet voice, "Not so loud, Adam. You'll wake the child with your celebrations and rejoicings." "That means you, my Father, loved both me and my creation? Or did you love it more than me? If so, why? Explain to me. It is not yours, after all." "Love, my son, has its continuation, and in your new creation will be found your continuation." That means I am standing here and I am in my creation at the same time? And does that mean Eve is in it too? Yes, my son, your co-creation is in all respects like you, only not in the flesh. Within it, your spirit and soul merge to give birth to a new creation, and your aspirations will continue and will intensify the joyous sensations multifold. So, you are saying there will be many of us? You shall fill the whole earth. You shall know everything through your feelings, and then, in other galaxies, your dream will recreate the world anew to be even more resplendent. Where is the edge of the universe? What will I do when I come to it? When I myself fill everything and have created everything I have conceived? My son, the universe itself is a thought from which was born a dream, which is partially visible as matter. When you approach the edge of all creation, your thought will reveal a new beginning and continuation. From obscurity will arise a new and resplendent birth of you, and it will reflect in itself your soul, your dreams, your whole aspirations. My son, you are infinite, you are eternal. Within you are your dreams of creation. Father, is it always so good when you speak? When you are with me, I want to embrace you. But you are invisible. Why? My son, when my dreams about you were drinking in the diverse energies of the universe, I did not have time to be thinking about myself. My dreams and thoughts created only you. They did not make visible image for me. But there are visible creations of mine. Feel them, but do not try to analyze them. Nobody in the whole universe will find that they can analyze them simply with their mind. Father, it feels good to me when you speak. You are with me, everything is with me. If I should find myself at the other end of the universe, if doubts or crude obscurities should intrude upon my soul, tell me, how might I search you out? Where will you be at such a time? I shall be in you and with you. Everything is in you, my son. You are the master of all the diverse energies of the universe. I have counterbalanced all the opposite extremities of the universe in you, thereby making you a new creature. Do not allow any of these extremities to hold sway within you. Then shall I be in you always. In me? In you and with you. You and Eve are in your creation. In you there is a particle of me, and so I am in your creation too. I am your son. What then will be the new creation in relation to you? Again, it will be you. Whom will you love more? Me as I am now, or the me which will be born again and again as before? Love is one and the same, but there is greater hope in each new embodiment and dream. Father, how wise you are! I so very much want to embrace you. Look around you. The visible creations you see are my materialized thoughts and dreams. On the material plane of being, you will always be able to communicate with them. I have loved them just as I love you, Father. And I have loved Eve and my new creation too. Love is all around, and I want to be in it eternally. My son, you shall dwell eternally only in the space of love.
Years passed, as it were, but time after time is a relative concept. Years passed, but why make a list? For a long time, death in himself was something man could not have even missed, which means that death back then could not even exist.
Chapter 9. The Unsatisfying Apple. But Anastasia, I queried, if everything was so good in the beginning, then what happened afterward? Why are there wars on the earth today, and why are people starving? We have thievery, bandits, suicides, prisons, too many unhappy families, too many orphans. Where have all our loving Eves disappeared to? Where is God, who promised that we would all live eternally in love? And I just remembered what it says about this in the Bible. God expelled man from paradise for picking and tasting the fruit of the forbidden tree. And he even stationed a guard at the gates so as to stop the violators from getting back into paradise. Vladimir, God never expelled man from paradise. Yes, he did. I read about it. He even cursed the man over this. He told Eve she was a sinner and would bring forth children in sorrow, and Adam would have to earn his living by the sweat of his brow. And that's all come to pass with us today. Vladimir, reason it out for yourself. Perhaps that kind of logic or absence of logic has been devised for somebody's interests to suit a particular purpose. What's logic and somebody's interests got to do with it? Please believe me, each one must learn to make sense of things, to determine what is true, with his own soul. Only after thinking it through for yourself can you realize that God did not expel man from paradise. God remains a loving Father right up to this very moment. He is a God of love. You must have read about that, too. I did, indeed. So where is the logic, then? You will agree that a loving parent would never expel his child from his home. Loving parents, even if it means suffering deprivation themselves, will forgive their children any transgressions they have committed. And God is not indifferent to all the sufferings of people, the sufferings of his children. Whether he is or not, I don't know. But one thing everybody knows, he doesn't do anything about them. Oh, what are you saying, Vladimir? Of course he will tolerate this distress, too, from his son, man. But how long can man go on without a full appreciation of his father? How long can he go on not seeing or feeling his love? What are you so concerned about all of a sudden? Be more specific. Where are these manifestations today of the divine love for us? Where do we look for them? The next time you are in the city, take a close look around you. The living carpet of marvelous grass has been paved over with a lifeless asphalt. All around are harmful masses of concrete called housing. Cars scurry around in between them, emitting deadly fumes. But even amidst the stone masses, finding even the tiniest of islands, grass and flowers still sprout forth, God's creations. And through the rustle of the leaves and the song of the birds, he is still calling out to his daughters and sons to reconsider everything that is happening and to return to paradise. The glow of love emanating from the earth keeps on getting smaller, and for a long time now the sun's reflection should have been decreasing too. But he, with his energy, is constantly intensifying the life-giving power of even the sun's rays. Just as before, he loves his daughters and sons. He waits, trusting and dreaming that one day man will wake at dawn and suddenly regain his conscious awareness, and that this conscious awareness will restore to the earth its original, pristine blossomings. But how did everything on earth come to go against God's dream, and for some reason last all these thousands, maybe millions of years? How could he keep waiting and trusting for so long a time? Time does not exist for God. As with any loving parent, he never loses faith. And it is thanks to that faith that all of us are living right now. and we ourselves arrange our lives as we see fit, using the freedom granted us by the Father. But people did not all of a sudden decide to follow the option of a path leading nowhere. If not all of a sudden, then how? When? What does it mean, that phrase, Adam's apple? Back then, just as now, the universe was filled with a multitude of living energies. Everywhere there are living elements invisible, the vast majority of them resembling man's second self. They are almost like people, capable of comprehending all planes of being, but they are not afforded a material embodiment. That is man's great advantage over them. Furthermore, in the complexes of energies of the universe's elements, one form of energy inevitably holds sway over the rest, and they themselves do not have the capability of changing the proportional relationship among their forms of energy. Also, among the elements of the universe, there are complexes of energies similar to God. Similar, yes, but they are not gods. They have momentarily equalized the multitude of energies within themselves. Yet in contrast to God, they are not capable of producing living creations in harmony. In the whole universe, nobody has managed to solve the puzzle, the sacred mystery of how or by what power the material plane of being was created, or where the threads tying it and the whole life of the universe together may be found, or how or on what basis this plane is capable of reproducing itself. When the earth and everything upon it was created by God, the unparalleled speeds of the generative process made it impossible for the elements to understand by what power God was bringing about this grand creation. After everything was already created and was visible, when they noticed that man was the strongest of all, many were plunged by this resplendent vision first into astonishment, and then into excitement, and finally came the desire to repeat it, to create something similar, all on its own. This desire kept on growing. Even today it is still present in a multitude of the diverse energies. They tried to imitate earthly creations in other galaxies, on other worlds, even using the planets which God had created. Many managed to come up with a facsimile of earthly existence, but only a facsimile. The harmony of the earth and the interrelationship among all things, that is something none have been able to achieve. Thus, throughout the universe, even today, there are planets with life, but this life is but a poor imitation of life on the earth. When all these attempts, not only to produce a better creation, but even to repeat the existing one, failed, and God did not reveal his secret, then many of these elements began turning to man for help. It was clear to them that if man was God's creation, if man was God's beloved, then a loving parent could not possibly withhold anything from him. On the contrary, God must have offered great opportunities to man, his son, and the elements of the universe started to turn to man. In fact, they strive to do so even today. You know, there are people today who claim that someone invisible is communicating with them from the universe, calling itself mind and the power of good. Back then, too, right at the beginning, they appealed to man with requests and exhortations demanding to know, though hiding their true motives under various guises, by what power the earth was formed, along with everything existing upon it, and how man was created to be so great. They wanted to know from what he was fashioned. But man gave an answer to none of them. He did not know the answer to the question himself, nor does he know it today. But he became more and more interested in the question and began demanding answers from God. Not only did God decline to answer, he tried to inculcate a better understanding in man, asking him to erase the question from his thinking. I ask you, my son, to create. You have been given the power to create in the space on earth as well as on other worlds. What you think up in your dream will be turned into reality. You need not doubt. Only one thing do I ask of you. Do not try to figure out how, by what power it all comes about. What I don't understand, Anastasía, is why God would not want to divulge the specifics of his creation even to man, his son. I can only guess, no more, Anastasía replied. In not responding to this question, even to his son, God might have been trying to protect him from disaster, even deflecting a universal war. I don't see any connection between a refusal to respond and a universal war. If ever the secret of creation were to be revealed, then on other planets in the universe, other forms of life might arise, equal in power to those on the earth. Two powers might have the desire to test each other. It is possible that such a contest could take place peacefully. It is also possible it could turn out like the wars on the earth, and that could touch off a war throughout the universe. Indeed, I agreed, it would be better for the specifics of God's creation to remain a secret. Only one of the elements might happen to figure it out on its own, without hints. I do not think any of them would ever figure it out. And why are you so confident of that? The nature of the secret is such that it is clear on its own, and at the same time it is not even there, and yet at the same time it is not alone. The term co-creation gives me confidence, when I add a second word to it. What word? The second word is inspiration. Well, what of it? What can these two words together signify? No, stop, don't say it. I remember you're telling me that thoughts, and that means words too, don't simply disappear into nowhere. They circle around us in space and anyone can catch them. Is that right? Right it is. And can the elements catch them too? True. Then don't say it. Why give them a hint? Not to worry, Vladimir. Suppose I give them a slight hint as to the secret. I can thereby show them the fruitlessness and senselessness of their constant attempts. That way they can understand and stop bothering man. Well, if that's the case, then tell me, what do co-creation and inspiration mean? Co-creation signifies that in his creating, God used particles of all the diverse energies of the universe, and his own energy too. And even if the elements got together to produce a duplicate of the earth, they would still be missing one particular form of energy, the one that is inherent in God as an idea of his own, the one born in the divine dream alone. Inspiration signifies that the creations were produced through an impulse of inspiration. Who among the great earthly artists and sculptors, after creating their work in an impulse of inspiration, will dare to attempt to explain how they held their brush, what they were thinking, or where they were standing? These were not the kinds of things they paid attention to, absorbed as they were so completely in their work. Again, there is the energy of love, which God sent to the earth. It is free, subject to no one, and preserving its loyalty to God is in the service of man alone. How fascinating that all is, Anastasía. Do you think the elements will hear it and understand? They shall certainly hear, and possibly understand as well. And will they hear what I say too? True. Then I shall sum it up for them. Hey there, elements. Is it clear to you now, eh? Don't you go bothering people anymore. You'll never guess the Creator's design. Well, Anastasía, what do you think? Did I do a good job of telling it to them? Your final words were quite accurate. You will never guess the Creator's design. They have been trying to guess it for a long time. Right from the moment they first beheld the earth and its people right up to the present day. And what harm did their attempts cause Adam, or us for that matter? In Adam and Eve, they aroused feelings of pride and self-conceit, and they managed to persuade Adam through a false teaching, saying that to produce something more perfect, it was necessary to break the existing creation down and see what it consisted of, how it worked. They often instructed him to find out how everything was constructed, and then he would be supreme over all. They hoped that when Adam began analyzing God's creations to make sense of their construction and purpose, he would comprehend with his mind the interrelationship among the creations of all different kinds. They would then be able to see the thoughts Adam produced, and from that they could deduce how they could create like God. At first, Adam paid no attention to their requests and suggestions. But then, one day, Eve decided on her own to give Adam some advice. I have heard voices stating things will be even easier and more splendid for us once you ascertain how everything works within. Why should we stubbornly refuse to follow this recommendation? Would it not be better for us to give it a try at least once? First, Adam broke off a branch of the tree with his marvelous fruit, and then, now you can see for yourself how man's creative thought came to a standstill. Even today, he keeps examining things in detail and breaking them apart, trying to analyze the structure of everything and produce his own primitive creations with his thought instantaneously at a standstill. Hold on, Anastasía. That's not at all clear to me. Why do you say that human thought has come to a standstill? When people examine something in detail, on the contrary, we say they're learning something new. Vladimir, man is made in such a way that there is nothing he needs to examine in detail, he concludes. Oh, how can I make this clearer to you? The structure of everything is included in man himself, in what you might call an encoded format. The code is deciphered when he tunes into his dream of inspired creativity. But I still don't see what harm can there be in taking something apart. And how can this possibly bring thought to a standstill? Maybe it'd be better if you showed me an example. Yes, you are right. I shall try an example. Imagine you are at the wheel of your car driving to some destination. All at once you find yourself wondering how the motor works and what makes the wheels turn. You stop the car and set about taking apart the motor, for instance. So, I'll take it apart, see how it works, and then I'll be able to repair it myself. What's wrong with that? However, while you are taking it apart, your journey has become interrupted. You will not reach your destination on time. But I'll still learn more about my car. What's wrong with my acquiring new knowledge? What do you need it for? Your purpose is not to repair, but to enjoy the drive and to create. You don't sound very convincing, Anastasía. Not a single driver will agree with you, except maybe for a few with foreign cars like Japanese models or Mercedes, which hardly ever break down. God's creations not only do not break down, but are capable of recreating themselves. Hence, why should one need to tear them apart to see how they work? What do you mean, why? Just out of curiosity, if for nothing else. Forgive me, Vladimir, if my example was unconvincing. If you will allow me, I shall attempt another. Go ahead. Suppose a beautiful woman is standing in front of you. You feel a burning attraction for her. She appeals to you. And she finds you interesting too, and seeks to join together with you in creation. But a moment before the mutual impulse for coming together to create, all of a sudden you wonder what this woman is made of, how her internal organs work, her stomach, liver, and kidneys. What does she eat and drink? How will all of this function in a moment of intimacy? Enough, don't go on. You've come up with a jolly good example there. There will be no closeness, no creation. It won't work out if this cursed thought comes along. It happened once that way with me. There was one woman I fancied for a long time, but she never gave in to me. And the one time she agreed, I suddenly thought of how I could perform better, and for some reason I doubted my ability to perform. The upshot was that nothing happened. I felt such shame, and was even afraid I might have lost it for good. I later asked a friend about it, and he said the same thing had happened to him. The two of us went to see a doctor. The doctor said there was some kind of psychological factor at work here. There was no use doubting our abilities or trying to figure out what to do and how. I think this psychological factor causes trouble for a lot of men. Now I get it. It's all because of those elements, because of Adam, because of Eve's advice. Yes, they acted pretty bad back then. Why are you only blaming Adam and Eve? Look around you today, Vladimir. Is it not all mankind continuing to stubbornly repeat the same mistake, violating God's guidelines? Adam and Eve were not fully aware of the consequences. But why does mankind stubbornly continue to tear everything apart and to destroy living creations? Today, when the consequences are so obvious and sad? I don't know, maybe everyone needs a good shake-up. Come on, are we so hung up on tearing apart one thing after another? I just had a thought. Maybe it was no use. God not handling Adam and Eve a decent punishment after all. He should have given Adam a right good hiding and knocked all that nonsense out of his head. That same nonsense that's causing mankind so much suffering today. And he could have taken a good whip to Eve's soft spots so she wouldn't have gone round getting people into trouble with that tongue of hers. Vladimir, God gave man complete freedom, with no thought of punishment on his part. Besides, punishment will not alter acts committed in one's heart. Wrong actions will continue as long as the original thought is not changed. Tell me, for example, who invented lethal missiles and the nuclear warheads they carry? In Russia, it was academic Korolev who first built rockets like that. But before him, Tsiolkovsky theorized about them. American scientists also tried. In any case, a lot of human minds have been involved in rocket design. A lot of inventors in different countries have been working on it. Vladimir, there is in fact only one inventor of all rockets and all the lethal weapons attached to them. How can there be just one, when whole research centers have been working on rocket design in various countries and kept their achievements secret from one another? That's what the whole arms race is about. Who can produce a weapon best and fastest? This lone inventor takes pleasure in giving out hints to all people that call themselves scientists or inventors, no matter what country they live in. And where, in what country, does he himself live, and what is his name? Destructive thinking. At first, it got through to a single individual and took over his material body, producing spears and stone spearheads. Then it proceeded to come up with arrows and iron arrowheads. But if it knows everything, this destructive thought, why didn't it go for a missile straight off? The material plane of earthly being does not embody everything thought of all at once. Slowness in matter was given by the Creator to allow people time to think things through. In terms of destructive thinking, the spear, our modern weapons, as well as those of the future, even more deadly, were produced a long time ago. To manifest something more than a spear on the material plane required the construction of a multitude of factories and laboratories that are today termed scientific. Under the guise of plausible excuses, more and more people were gradually drawn into the business of turning such deadly thinking into reality. And what was the need of constantly trying to do that? To establish itself, to destroy the whole material plane of the earth, to show to everything in the universe the superiority of the energies of its all-destructive element over everything else, and in fact over God. And it is through people that it acts. Sneaky little vermin! And how do we exterminate it from the earth? Chapter 10. Avoid intimate relations with her. Do not allow it access to your thought or body. All women should avoid intimate relations with men who permit destructive thinking into their consciousness, so as not to reproduce it over and over again. Wow, that's quite a thought, I exclaimed. If all women gang up like that, all our scientific military minds will go out of their minds. Vladimir, if women start acting that way, there will be no war on the earth. Right on, Anastasía. You've struck a blow against all war. Way to go. This idea of yours can wipe out all war. That's quite a blast. It's true. What man would want to go to war if not a single woman would sleep with him after that or bear him offspring? Who? That would mean anyone starting a war would be killing himself, his offspring too. If women were willing to do this, nobody would ever start a war. Eve's fall from grace would be expiated by women living in today's times, not to mention their own decline in the face of themselves and God. And what will then be occurring on the earth? The earth will once again burst forth in its pristine flower. You are a powerfully stubborn girl, Anastasía, true to your dream just as before. But you are also naive. How can one believe in all the women on the earth? How can I not believe in all women, Vladimir, since I know that the divine essence is present in every woman living on the earth today? So let it reveal itself in all its resplendent array. Goddesses, women of the divine earth, reveal in yourselves your own divine essence. Show yourselves to the whole universe in all the beauty of your original pristine presence. You are a perfect creation. You are created from the divine dream. Each of you is capable of taming the diverse energies of the universe. Dear women, goddesses of all the universe and the earth. Now how can you stand there, Anastasía, and state that all the women of the earth are goddesses? I'm beginning to find your naivete a trifle ridiculous. Imagine, all of them, goddesses? Including those standing behind counters? I mean, in stores and street kiosks? Cleaning ladies, dishwashers, waitresses? All the ones that cook, bake, and wash dishes all day after day in their kitchens at home? Don't tell me they're goddesses too. Sounds like blasphemy to me. Even. How can you call drug addicts and prostitutes goddesses? Well now, in a church, okay. Or a beautiful lady dancing at a ball. Sure, people will say she's a goddess. But all those plain types dressed in everyday rags, nobody's going to call them goddesses. Vladimir, it is only a chain of circumstances that makes earthly goddesses spend time in a kitchen day after day. You have stated that I am like some kind of wild creature, that my life is primitive, and that only the world you inhabit is civilized. Then tell me, why is it that women in your civilization spend a good part of their life in cramped kitchens, made to wash floors and carry heavy groceries home from stores? You boast about your civilization, but why is there so much dirt in it? And why do you transform the most beautiful goddesses of the earth into cleaning ladies? And just where have you seen a cleaning lady who's a goddess? Any women worth their salt shine at beauty pageants and drench themselves to a fault in luxury, and every man wants to marry them. But they will only marry men who are rich. As for the plain ones, well, even the poor don't need them. Every woman has her own beauty. It is only that not all of them are given the opportunity to reveal this treasure. This great beauty is not something you can measure. Like a person's waist, for example. The length of one's leg, the size of one's breasts, the color of one's eyes. All that is completely irrelevant here. This beauty is interior to the woman and is found in both a young girl and a woman of senior years. Sure, in women of senior years. You're going to tell me about old ladies next. You think they're beautiful goddesses too? They too are beautiful in their own way. And in spite of the endless humilities they face in everyday life, the multitude of blows dealt them by fate, any woman labeled a senior can still wake up in the morning with the sun, walk across the dew, smile at the sunrise with a ray of conscious awareness, and what then? And then suddenly make someone love her. She will be loved herself, and she will impart to him the warmth of her love. To what him? To the one, her only one, who sees in her the goddess within. It doesn't happen like that. It does. Go ask some seniors. You will be surprised at how many of them have passionate romances. And are you sure that women are capable of changing the world? Capable they are. Capable beyond the shadow of a doubt, Vladimir. Once they change their priorities of love, they, God's perfect creation, will restore to the earth its resplendent, pristine worth. They will transform the whole earth into the blossoming garden of the divine dream. They are God's creation, the beautiful goddesses of the divine earth.